All right, we're going to finish this little page that I have on my website, RNA replication, letter R, RNA. We stopped off at, let me lower the context here. We stopped off at knocking on the door of life. This is the intelligent designer scientists who think that they're knocking on the door of life. Like, that's really close. They're not down the street. You're knocking on the door. That particular door. Maybe there are other doors that aren't life, but no, that's the door of life. Okay, so the previous sentence, the research shows that the system can sustain molecular information, a form of heritability, and give rise to variations of itself in a way akin to Darwinian evolution. But Darwinian evolution hasn't proved to be all that consistent, nor arriving at new life forms. We don't have any missing links ever discovered. Actually, the number of species is declining, not increasing. So, says Lincoln, what we have is non-living, but we've been able to show that it has some lifelike properties, and that was extremely interesting. Well, some things that are not life forms can show a number of things that emulates what life does. But that doesn't make them any closer to being life forms. So this is what they have to say with their excitement about their success. Knocking on the door of life. The group is pursuing potential applications of their discovery in the field of molecular diagnostics. But that work is tied to a research paper currently in review, so the researchers can't yet discuss it. But the main value of the work, according to Joyce, is at the basic research level. What we found, she says, could be relevant to how life begins. At that key moment when Darwinian evolution starts. But we don't have any proof of when and how it started and what the next step was. The presumption is we have a scientific thing here that explains all about life, but we're just trying to produce it in the laboratory, what Darwin says. But Darwin is not scientific either. He is quick to point out that, it's a he, while the self-replicating RNA enzyme systems share certain characteristics of life, they are not themselves a form of life. That's an understatement. The historical origin of life, he says, can never be recreated precisely. So then why are you doing this experiment and presuming that it might? So without a reliable time machine, we don't even have a time machine, one must instead address the related question of whether life could ever be created in a laboratory. This could, of course, shed light on what the beginning of life might have looked like, at least in outline. Wow. We're not trying to play back the tape, says Lincoln, of their work, but it might tell us how you go about starting the process of understanding the emergence of life in the lab. How about finding whether or not Darwin is actually reliable on a scientific level, any part of it? The subunits in the enzyme the team constructed each contain many nucleotides, so they are relatively complex and not something that would have been found floating in the primordial ooze. So on what basis do you start there? If it wouldn't be found in the primordial ooze, which is the scientific frame of reference about evolution, says, well, this is the way it was. It contained this kind of material, and that's how we get our life forms. But he says it's far more complex. So why are you doing this? But while the building blocks likely would have been simpler, the work does finally show that a simpler form of RNA-based life is at least possible. No, it doesn't. Which should drive further research to explore the RNA world theory of life's origins. Actually, I know of a number of people, including myself, that have done an experiment that actually did produce life. I took a certain amount of material and orchestrated, being an intelligent designer myself, of varying intelligence and design, and worked with another intelligent designer person. And this I made sure had DNA in it, or did what I would be confident that there would be sufficient setup, but it was quite orchestrated. And actually, it produced a life form. I did it multiple times, and the number of permutations and combinations that I allowed in this experiment with my partner, lifeform, intelligent designer, was innumerable. But we had 3 successes, 3 children with my wife.